Okay, we are recording in progress. So I am going to go ahead and mute everybody for the time being. And if you have questions later, or actually I'm going to ask you to go ahead and mute yourself, and then we'll unmute yourself later to answer questions. All right. Well, I'm going to introduce myself to you guys, not that you don't know me already, but my name's Julie Bierster, and April Eubanks is here with me from Jubilee Fitness and Nutrition. And we want to thank you guys for jumping on with us tonight to talk about food, mood, and stress management. Now, you might be wondering, does food really affect your mood? Well, the answer to that is 100% yes. First of all, we partner with Healthy Steps Nutrition, and along with them, we also believe that something as fundamental as nutrition should not be complicated. So that is why we focus on simple, habit-based approach to help you reach your goals one step at a time. Today is all about food, mood, and stress, and really about how all of these things work together to affect your health. So outside of feeling hangry, just how does the food we eat affect, I see you, Doug, just how does the food we eat affect your mood? Well, many studies have shown that diets high in fruits and vegetables, modest in lean protein, and void of many processed sugars and foods is associated with a 25 to 35% lower risk of depression when compared to a typical westernized diet. The westernized diet, which is also known as the standard American diet, is typically high in processed foods, red meat, sugar, fat, and often highlights prepackaged or convenience foods. Have any of you ever experienced that post-holiday blues? You know what I'm talking about? Well, you're not the only one. You're not alone. While part of that low mood and energy may be from the hustle and bustle of the season, we need to consider how the overconsumption of foods that are associated with the holidays may play a role in that. Researchers have found that in as little as 1 week, eating a Western diet can significantly alter your brain function, with the participants of the study doing worse on learning and memory tests. Furthermore, the Western diet was tied to overeating and increased cravings of sugary treats after consuming a regular meal. How many of us can relate to that? How many of you want to reach for something sweet after you finish eating dinner? I know I do, almost every night. Additionally, this study found that these participants experienced a negative impact in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for things like emotions, learning, and motivation due to their diet. Regular consumption of certain foods can really impact our quality of life, even in the short term. Yet when we start to fall into the habit of making not the best food choices, it's hard to start making the right food choices again on our own. So why and how is this happening? Well, serotonin may be a familiar term when you think of your mood. Serotonin is often known as the happiness hormone. But did you know that this hormone impacts your entire body, affecting things like sleep, eating, feelings, mood, and digestion? Even further, did you know that a vast majority of our serotonin receptors are located in our gut? Newer research is finding that the balance of good and bad bacteria in our gut is directly related to our diet and has a connection with diseases, including depression and anxiety. So what these findings are telling us is that when we aren't making the choice to eat a balanced diet, the balance of our gut, which is directly related to our mood, gets compromised, leading us to feel more sad and more unmotivated. Now that we know our food is truly playing a role in our mood, here's what you can start doing to find not only your healthiest version of yourself, but also the happiest version. Here you see something that we call the plate method, and some of you may be familiar with this. The plate method is one of the easiest and most effective methods for improving your diet by eating a balanced meal of high quality foods. You can utilize this method to incorporate all of your favorite foods and your favorite recipes into your daily diet. Now let's take a moment to specifically talk about the sugar that we put into our body. Our brains require glucose or sugar for energy. In fact, this organ in our body is the most energy demanding organ and uses nearly half of all the sugar that we consume. But just like anything else, too much of something becomes a problem. Have you ever had a sweet treat and then within the next hour or so, you felt like mental fog and even decreased happiness, leading you to crave even more and more of that sweet treat? You aren't going crazy. That's normal. This is actually the effect excess sugar has on your body. When we consume high amounts of sugar, our blood sugar surges up, which is followed by a crash. Research has found a relationship between the high and the crash of our blood sugars and mood disorders, such as depression, anxiety, as well as learning and memory functions. So let's look at just how sugar can cause this. Sugar suppresses an important hormone called BDNF. This particular hormone has been found in lower levels in individuals with depression and other mental disorders, such as schizophrenia. We also know that sugar promotes the inflammatory response in our body, and when consumed in high amounts consistently, it can become chronic inflammation, which impacts our immune system and our brain. This may also lead to the connection between sugar consumption and depression. Furthermore, we know that the inflammation response after consuming a diet high in sugar may also worsen anxiety symptoms by impairing the body's natural ability to cope with stress. Sugar has been known to cause blurred vision, difficulty in thinking, and fatigue due to that crash, which is similar to what a panic attack might feel like. While sugar itself does not cause anxiety, research has established a correlation between sugar consumption and anxiety. Or, in other words, diets high in sugar may exacerbate actual stress as well as feelings of increased stress. Lastly, studies have shown the effects of sugar on memory. High amounts of sugar in the body can cause insulin resistance, which damages the communication between brain cells that are fueled by sugar, needed for learning and memory in our day. If you want to know more about this or you want to hear more about sugar, you can listen to this podcast, episode 50 of Podcast Nutrition Made Simple. Be sure and check that out. So while sugar hides almost everywhere, there are two easy ways you can start to identify and swap out excess sugar. First of all, balanced snacks. We should be treating our snacks just like a meal. Do they have a good source of protein? Do they have carbs? Do they have fats? Take a look at these few options and commit to trying just one of them this week. Personally, I'm a big fan of 000 yogurt with some blueberries and a few nuts, or I take sliced deli meat and wrap it around sliced apples. Another area that sugar sneaks its way into our day is through what we drink, our beverages. So rather than reaching for those sodas or the lattes or juices, try to drink some more water. And if you struggle to drink more water, try a couple of these combinations. You can add in watermelon with mint and cucumber. That one's good. A little squeeze of lemon or lime or both. A little squeeze of orange. Any fresh berries and herbs that sound good to you, great mixture, just to flavor your water a little bit. While stress isn't as simple to navigate around, let's talk about stress. So far we've talked about how your food is affecting your mood, but let's shift gears a little bit and talk about something that too often goes unnoticed during our health and wellness journey, and that is stress management. We live in a world that constantly throws stress at us, but have you ever taken the time to consider how it affects your health? Increased stress leads to elevated cortisol, the stress hormone in the body. These higher levels of cortisol lead to increased blood sugar and inflammation. suppressed immune system, and even decreased nutrient metabolism. Studies also show that increased levels of stress may also cause weight gain and water retention, high blood pressure, fatigue, changes in mood causing irritability, and insulin resistance, which we talked briefly about earlier. It is clear that while stress often flies under the radar in our journey, we need to take control of it, or it will, if we want to ever increase our overall health and moods. So stress isn't really simple to navigate, like as easy as those sugary beverages were, but we can work on proper stress management techniques. Practicing mindfulness when presented with stressors gives us alternative ways to process and handle what's happening. Whenever you're feeling stressed, practice STOP, or S-T-O-P, to become more mindful. S-T-O-P, or STOP, stands for slowing down, taking a breath, observing what you're feeling in your body, such as what you're thinking and what other possibilities might exist. And lastly, proceed, considering all the possibilities. Taking the time during stressful moments to stop and become more mindful will help you to navigate your mindset. Here are 5 more tips for managing your stress that may work for you. The first is exercise. The second is start a daily journal. Write down your reflections. The third, meditation or yoga. The fourth, talking with your support system. And lastly, practicing mindfulness. And another way is very simply, take 10 minutes for yourself. Take 10 minutes for a little personal timeout. If you are or have ever felt like you were in a slump or navigating excess amounts of stress, now's the time to take control of your health and work with a professional to help you find the best balanced foods and mindfulness techniques to help you reach your short and your long-term goals. So be sure to schedule a free intro to chat with the coach at Jubilee about our habit-based approach that focuses on creating an individualized plan just for you. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to be with us today to learn all about how food, stress, and your mood are all intertwined. We're now going to open up the floor. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer. You can unmute yourselves, please. Nobody has any questions.
So just a quick note, I actually went to the podcast to try and look up episode 50 because I was going to post the link, and it looks like it is to be released in the future. They must have recorded it but not released it yet. They're only on episode 38 from this week. So, there are episode 34 is the connection between the food you eat, gut health, anxiety, and depression. So gotcha. That might be something interesting to dive into if that particular area spoke to you.
Good. Glad to know that.
It's funny that you were talking on this, Julie. I had caught, when was it? Last week. I was listening and someone was talking about stress and stress management. They had them on, her name was Elizabeth Bernstein. Mm-hmm. And anyways, I jotted down a lot of her strategies. And several of them were exactly what you were talking about. But it's talking to me.
Good. Do you want to share more of those? Because I don't know about you, but I find when I'm stressed or in an anxiety attack, I have a hard time stopping, slowing down and observing, and I almost get worse. Like, okay, what do I like? How do I take my stress down? What do I like to do that relieves stress? And I can't think of anything in the moment. So what are some of her strategies?
Right. One thing that she did talk about, which was on there, was slowing down. And I thought about that. Like, I'm bad about that. When I get stressed, especially in the morning, like I speed up in
More liquor.
frustration. And she was like, whatever you are doing, the dishes, the laundry, something in the middle of work, packing up, like stop and slow it down, because it slows all of your your heart rate and just all
Yeah.
of your bodily functions down. She said, have a mantra. This helps keep us from spiraling. Like, for example, she said, be here now, or one in the military, which I hadn't heard, is embrace the suck. Like, it just sucks. Embrace the suck. This is what's happening. I'll do the best I can. So she just said, like, pick a personal mantra and say that to yourself when you're having those feelings. Deal with your day with intention and purpose. Prioritize. And that made me think of like 75 Hard and what
Right.
we did, how it was like there was so much to be done. Like, it was very intentional and purpose driven, which helps. Does not help?
Definitely helps.
Sure. Liquor?
No,
No, that is not on the list.
not on the list. This is not a good.
But it has
stress
sugar for your
coping
brain.
strategy. Yeah, which we just discussed all the negative
Yeah.
effects of.
I only listen to certain words, Julie.
What do I do with that?
I find too that, and this goes back to the mantra too, because a lot of times the mantra just helps you control your breath.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
deep breathing, when you start to get stressed, you just start to pay attention to your breath a little bit, be a little consistent with your breathing. And same thing with the mantra. It controls your breathing in and out.
Puts your mind on something more positive than.
Yes,
But-
exactly.
I like the be here now,
Yes.
because oftentimes when that feeling is occurring, it's because I've been really stressing about the future and things that are not yet in my control anyway. So be here now brings you back to the present moment and lets you realize you're still safe.
Right.
You can bring that stress down.
That's a good one. A good point. She said, emotionally distance yourself when you give your own self advice by using your own name. She said, have you ever noticed that when the people around you are having problems, you do a great job at giving them advice, but you don't do the same with yourself? And she said, that's because we're not emotionally distanced, we're subjective, not objective, of course. But
Mhm.
actually giving yourself advice by using your own name can kind of psychologically
so-
trick yourself a little.
So talk to yourself. That's what
Talk to
crazy people
yourself.
do.
I do that in workouts. Suck it up, April. Embrace the suck.
Embrace the sweat, exactly. I was gonna say, I've heard that before in the gym many times.
Have you?
For me, it's usually like, damn it, Doug, or something like that. It's never usually an encouraging thing.
Yeah.
Pick the bar up.
Yeah.
Not now. Not until
No, not now.
Saturday.
Not now.
Saturday.
Yeah.
I gotta practice some point.
She said, close your eyes and think of a sweet memory. What about that is important to you? Name the memory, take action on that. She gave an example about like a niece, a situation of like spending time with her niece, and I can't remember what they were doing. But so then what did that prompt her to do, to call her and like schedule time to be with that person or to do that thing, that was a good memory. Which I guess would maybe be like helping you find what calms you, April. I don't know, like, what is the
Yeah.
nice memory? Some of those things you can do, some of them not. Like, we're like, oh man, we had the best time in Ireland. Man, if I could just go to Ireland when I feel all stressed out, that'd be dandy. But It is what it is. And let's see. Okay, two more things. Focus on the beauty in life more, like a sunset. She's saying, everybody talks about, oh, how beautiful a sunset is, but really it's very bittersweet. Like it's
Yeah.
ending, it's the ending of the day and it's done. And she said, but we don't think about that. We don't focus on the bitter part of it, just the beauty of it, and try to do that more in life with our situations. And when we're in those difficult ones, slow down, look at where I'm at and what I want and push toward it. That was it.
That's awesome.
Very good.
Yeah. I was like at a stoplight and like pulled over.
I gotta write this down.
But if y'all want to read, I think she was like in the New York Times or something, but it was on Catholic radio. But her name was Elizabeth Bernstein.
Sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
It was on handling stress. That's what it was.
One thing that I found really interesting is there's been so much research, and you hear so much lately about how our gut is really, tied to everything. So, and really affects all parts of our health. And I find that kind of fascinating that we've seen so much research on it lately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
found food kind of helps me not get so stressed. Don't put the camera on. Food helps me not get as stressed. Like if I'm eating crappy food, like it's almost like your fuse is a little shorter,
Yeah.
maybe.
Joking.
Exactly.
You're not clear-headed.
It's not affected.
Yeah.
So true.
Makes sense.
More clear of a head, easier to make calm decisions. So,
Yes.
look at our funny potato.
Oh my gosh, it is a funny potato.
Got a dingleberry.
I'm not really sure about that potato.
Yeah.
He brought it in. I was like, what is that? It looks like a critter.
Checking to see how
I'm
they're
sure it's
going.
very tasty.
yeah, it's I don't know what's going on with it.
Did
It's an
you
art piece, it's like a goose, it's like a swan, that's like a
They turn it one way, it looks like
swan giving birth
has like a goiter, or something. I don't know.
or swans lay eggs or something?
A really big egg.
this is falling apart really quickly here.
Well,
This is
are there
how you
any other
stress.
questions before we
Any other questions or
go
comments?
away? No. All right. Well, we have a gift certificate to Poke Bowl, which y'all know is one of my favorite, to give away to somebody who was on tonight.
Ew.
So let's see who's gonna win.
And we want to thank them for being our sponsor.
Alisa! Congratulations. Yes, thank you to Poke
I
Bowl.
drove past there today and wanted to stop for
Oh
film.
my
I wanted
goodness.
to,
Love
yeah, I
that
almost
place.
stopped. I
Thank
actually
you.
almost stopped today. Our neighbor works there now.
Oh, cool.
Debbie?
No,
Not
next
Debbie.
2 down.
Okay, it's like
No,
she
one of the
went
kids.
from Home Depot.
Trisha's kids.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys have a great rest of your night. Go eat something healthy or have a little something healthy before you go to bed.
Potato.
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 We'll see you at the gym, hopefully tomorrow. Or
Well,
very-
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here.